All right, what was the contract with America and what actually got implemented? Now, Clinton had a very much a domestic agenda. His entire thing was aimed at getting away from the New Deal and focusing on the US. He wanted to have a balanced budget while still maintaining a lot of social programs, such as universal health care and giving tax cuts to the middle class. You typically can't have both social and economic growth because either you can have economic growth where you save money or social growth where you give a bunch of people more money. But he wanted both. And the three main provisions of the Contract with America showed that. He wanted to have a balanced budget where the U.S. didn't spend more money than it got. He wanted to have congressional limits where people in Congress had a certain amount of limits they could do, like the presidential term limit, because oftentimes what happened was that one congressperson would keep getting reelected and reelected, and it didn't bring new ideas. And finally, he wanted to have a welfare reform. He wanted to keep all these programs, such as like unemployment, but he wanted to make it so that he wants to combat that lazy idea where people were just getting free money. So basically what he did was, and this was in the Well Reform Bill, was that the Well Reform Bill ensured that people continued to receive the help they needed, but for a limited amount of time, and they were actually actively looking for a job. So there was only a certain amount of time that they would receive those welfare benefits, and after that, it was tough luck. So you better find a job before that. And so that was the welfare reform. Now, Clinton, there was a budget proposed, and Clinton didn't want to accept the entire new budget. There was parts of it that he liked, and other parts that he didn't agree with. In retaliation, he wanted to be revised. In retaliation, Gringer, the Speaker of the House at the time, refused to pass a new federal budget, which meant the government couldn't spend any money, which meant that the government couldn't do anything. Everyone blamed Gringer. Gringer was a Republican, so the Republican Party was at fault, and it boosted Clinton's credibility, and it gave him more fame. And so that was his spending things. At the end, the congressional limits wasn't implemented. The well reform bill was passed, and he did actually hit the balanced budget. So he did do 2 out of the 3 things. But like once the party was in, they didn't want to change the congressional limit. They wanted to keep getting reelected.